Shalom, beloved. Our verse for today is from the second book of Kings, chapter 5, verse 3. It reads, "She said to her mistress, 'If only my Lord were with the prophet who is in Samaria, he would cure him of his leprosy.'" Naaman, the commander of the Syrian army, was sick. He had leprosy. Leprosy was a terrible disease in those days in the whole of the ancient Near East. The disease was infectious and it had no known cure. And because it was very infectious, the one suffering leprosy was put outside the community. And if he were to come in, he would be ringing a bell shouting, "Unclean, unclean." And that was the lot of this wonderful commander of the army in Syria, Naaman. In that condition, a girl who was their servant girl, a girl abducted from Israel in one of the raids that the Arameans did in Israel. Now, Aram Syria was at the northern border of Israel, another nation. They shared boundaries with northern Israel, and northern Israel in those days had its capital in Samaria. So the Arameans, the Syrians, came down and did a raid and carried off some people, including this girl. But this girl, serving in her master's household, did not lose her identity. She always remembered she was an Israelite. And when this situation happened, she summoned courage, knowing whom she was. She summoned courage to go to her mistress and declare, "If our master would go to a prophet in Israel, he will be cured." Why would she do that? In spite of being in a very difficult situation, in spite of being counted a slave at the moment, this girl did not forget that she was a chosen child of God. Many times, when we are in difficulty, when things go bad, we think God has forgotten us. We think God has no need of us. We think we are not where God should use us. But we will have to remember always, God alone writes straight in a crooked line. God works all things unto good for those who love him. This girl believed that, and in spite of her situations, he summoned courage to make this declaration. In making this declaration, she proclaimed the might, the love of the God of Israel. She spread the good news of the God of salvation. And we know the end of this story, how Naaman got cured, prompted by this little girl. Dearly beloved, none of us is too little to be used by God to achieve his purposes. None of God is so little that God cannot use him to do or her to do great things. We are chosen children of God. Wherever we find ourselves, in whatsoever condition that we find ourselves, let us not hesitate to lift up our heads, look around, and find how, no matter how small it may seem, we will proclaim the good news of our God. When we do what we should, God collects our little efforts and uses them to do what is great. May such spirit enter us, especially within this Lenten period, that we may go out there wherever we find ourselves to do good for the glory of God and for the salvation of humanity. Amen. Continue to be blessed.